Looking back on the memory of the dance we
It was here. Today was the day. What I was up against scared me a lot more than most 200-pound linebackers I ran up against during the football season. It was the week of junior prom. And as I began hearing stories of buying large ruffled dresses and obnoxiously colored tuxedos, I began to realize two very important details. First of all, I remembered that I was, in fact, a junior in high school. Secondly, and probably more importantly, it dawned on me that I had successfully procrastinated in finding a date to the biggest high school dance of the year. My next strategic move was to fall down in the middle of the floor in the fetal position. As I began to nervously suck on my thumb, I recognized something very critical about opportunities. Now honestly, I had known about prom from the beginning of the school year. You see, sometimes opportunities appear very early, which gives us plenty of time to take advantage of them. However, just because an opportunity is there, doesn't mean that it's yours. Just because I had known about prom from the very beginning, didn't mean that a date would appear right out of thin air. How often have you let opportunities like these pass you by, even when you've had more than enough time to take advantage of them? Luckily, I was able to find a date 5 days before the night of prom. But I couldn't stop there. The first step to my very precise plan, called Operation Sweep Her Off Her Feet, was to take her on a date the day of prom. And not only had I managed to find a date, I found a date that was fond of agriculture, more specifically horses. And it just so happened that there was a community team sorting event that Saturday morning. But I was faced with a problem. I needed a mode of transportation so that I could take my date, as well as the two horses, to the event in the morning. And although I prayed for a miracle to happen that night, I woke up that Saturday morning and looked out the window only to see the same little green Ford Ranger that I had bought the year before. And unfortunately, the green bean doesn't have enough horses under her hood to pull two more. I was cornered. I humbly called my date that Saturday morning, hoping deep down that she would not answer. "Oh, hi, how are you?" "Well, I'm good. I just had one small little question. If it's not too big of a deal, I was just wondering if you could drive your Dodge pickup and your trailer to come pick me up and my horse, if that would be okay." "All right, yeah, thanks." Operation Sweep Her Off Her Feet was not going as planned. But at the same time, I had always been taught that I should not let my pride stand in the way of taking opportunities. I had just gotten her to agree to go to prom with me. I don't know about you, but that didn't happen to me very often. And to top it all off, what's cooler than a girl driving a diesel pulling a horse trailer? Right? You see, sometimes life hands us opportunities that we aren't properly equipped for. And that's why we have friends and family and loved ones, so that they can help us achieve our goals. Similarly, think about the people close to you. How have they helped you get you to where you are today? Now, I gotta tell you about this horse that I decided to bring that morning. This guy was a little bay that we like to call Chocolate. But despite the sweet sound of his name, this gelding had quite the bitter personality. In fact, I was just getting him over several bad habits, and naturally he decided to exercise one of them just as I was going in for a good cut. All of a sudden, Chocolate stomped on the brakes and reared up as high as he could on his hind legs. Now, including Chocolate, I had been on plenty of horses not to be bothered too much by this act, but this time it felt different. And what happened next did bother me. Before I could yell, "Hi-ho, Silver," Chocolate decided to try a trust fall. And apparently, he trusted me to catch him. I didn't catch him. At this point, I couldn't think of any other way this day could have gone worse. Girls just don't fall for the guy that decides Girls just don't fall for the guy that decides to ask her to go to prom the day before. Secondly, my pride was shocked. Most of the time, it should be the guy that drives the diesel pulling the horse trailer to pick up his date. Now, I was sprawled out in the sand, embarrassed. As I lay there with dirt in my eyes and in my mouth, I was trying to figure out why I had even given the thought to waking up that morning. Inevitably, there are those times when life seems to fall all over us. Challenges and obstacles never take a day off. Pain, either emotional or physical, will always be there. But the important thing to remember is that it isn't about how hard we fall. It's about how fast we are able to get back up. So that being said, I got up off the ground, brushed a little dirt off my arm, got back in the saddle, and Chocolate and I finished sorting. Now, after the date had ended that afternoon, there was only one thing left to do. But once again, I was faced with a problem. After the stress of the day and having a horse fall on top of me, I felt like a freshman football player after the first week of two-a-days. But I knew I had to go on. I had to go to the high school gym and impress my friends, classmates, and most importantly, my date. And although my pride was busted, and I felt like I just had a run-in with a steamroller, I knew that I had to finish the night out with the dance. And although I had failed every objective on Operation Sweep Her Off Her Feet thus far, I knew that I still had a chance to finish the night out strong. So I ended the night with 3 of my signature dance moves. I started with the slow, relaxing move found in the butter churn. And for those of you who may be unfamiliar with it, it went a little something like this. After I began to work out the sore spots and the music beat picked up a little bit, I found myself lost in the fence stretcher. And finally, as a grand finale, I ended the night with the most classic dance move I could muster, the hay bale. By the end of that night, I had realized something very important. I could have given up. I could have went home, and all the pain and embarrassing moments wouldn't have occurred. But on the other hand, I also understood that had I done that, I would have missed out on all the joy and fun that I had also experienced that day. I knew that I would only have one junior prom, and I became thankful that I turned it into one of the greatest moments of my life. So I urge you to take chances. Go ahead, try out for that sport or leadership position. Take a chance run for chapter office, listen to your advisor, and try out that CDE that they've been bugging you about. Because you know what? You just might be good at it. If you don't, you'll never know the joy or the fun that would have come from it. And you will never know if that opportunity will ever pass by again. Just like the great musical genius Garth Brooks sang, "Yes, my life is better left to chance." I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance. So, whether you're a fence-stretching kind of guy, or just a plain old hay-baling, flinging country girl, life is playing your song. So Wyoming FFA, dance!